What's up everyone, how are you all? Today we are back with another blazing Naruto story. What if Naruto uses Kushina sword Sasuke bashing? If you enjoy then please like, share and do comments. 6 months before the Genin exams. Naruto, someone called out. It was a young man in his early 20s that had black hair tied back in a short high ponytail, a scare across his nose and brown eyes. He was a chunin of the village hidden in the leaves and wore the standard chunin uniform, being a blue shirt and pants with a green chunin vest over top of the shirt. Naruto, he said again, a bit louder this time. Naruto, he yelled this time. Wah! A young teen with blonde spiky hair, blue eyes and 3 whisker marks on each cheek that was wearing an orange jumpsuit yelled as he fell backwards out of his chair with a crash. When the small teen stood back up he had a grin on his face while he scratched the back of his head. Sorry about that, Iruka-sensei. Sure you are Naruto, Iruka said with a chuckle. Why don't you show the class the Henge no Jutsu? Why do I have to show the class the Henge no Jutsu? Naruto said while crossing his arms. Because you were sleeping through the lesson on it, so I assume you know everything about it and how to perform it correctly, was Iruka's reply. Fine. Naruto sighed as he came to the front of the class. He forms the rat seal while focusing his chakra and says, Henge, followed by a puff of smoke. Once the smoke cleared, Naruto was missing. Iruka waved his hand trough where Naruto 1 was at only to find nothing. He then heard someone above him screaming only to look up to see a falling Naruto. What the was all he could say before he was hit by Naruto, causing them to fall in a heap on the ground. Whoa, what happened? Naruto said, slightly disoriented. You fell on top of me, that's what happened, Naruto, was the reply from Iruka. Okay, the last thing I remember was trying to use the Henge no Jutsu and then I am falling towards you from above. Naruto, where did you get that sword from? Iruka asked, looking at the sword that was in Naruto's hand. It was a standard katana-style sword with a black sheath that had 10 trails of red spiraling around it with a golden fox head where the guard was supposed to be, with a black handle with red and yellow marking running through it. I'm not sure, I didn't have it when I came up to use the henge, but I did when I appeared above you, Naruto said while looking at the sword. After him and Iruka stood up, Naruto pulled the sword out of the sheath, revealing a blood-red blade. It was at this time that a certain stuck-up ass in the class decided to say something. Hey dope, give me that blade, it should belong to me, an Uchiha, not a nameless dope like you. Teme, shut up, Naruto said while looking at the Uchiha. Naruto, give me the sword, you're not supposed to have it in the classroom, said Mizuki, Iruka's assistant in teaching the class. He was dressed the same way as Iruka but had silverish white hair. He then walked up to Naruto to take the sword from him, and as he took it from Naruto the sword pulsed and then let out a red and black and yellow lightning bolts, hitting Mizuki in the chest, causing him to pass out almost dead. Iruka flinched when he saw this. He knew there was no such rule in the academy, so he figured Mizuki just didn't want Naruto to have the sword as he believed that the Uchiha deserved it. Naruto, it seems that your sword will only allow you to hold it, and we don't have anything saying that you can't have a sword in the classroom. Now Sakura, can you be so kind as to go get me some medics so they can bring Mizuki here to the hospital, as it seems that little zap from Naruto's new sword put him into a coma, Iruka said as Naruto went over to Mizuki's limp body that was sprawled out on the floor from being placed into a lightning-induced coma. It was late at night and Naruto had just gotten back to his apartment from training. The day had progressed normally except for what happened at the academy earlier that day. He still couldn't remember how he got this new sword. All he knew is 3 things, the first being that it was his, second only he could use it, and third that it is strangely familiar to him for some reason. Well, I don't have time to be digging through my mind right now to remember how I got this sword, and I've got another day at the academy tomorrow, so I better get some sleep, said Naruto to himself as he set his sword down in a corner of his room, and then he climbed into bed and got under the covers and fell asleep. Mindscape. Naruto, wake up, was heard from everywhere. Huh, what's going on here? Why should I get up? I just went to sleep, Naruto said groggily as he sat up from where he was laying on about the only dry spot in his mind, which was more like a sewer system than anything. Don't worry, you're still asleep, but while you're here in your mind you're never truly asleep, as you can be wide awake here while you're really out like a light or in a coma, said a figure that was wearing a black and red cloak as he materialized in front of Naruto. Okay, I guess that's a good thing, but who are you, may I ask? Ah yes, where are my manners? I'm a Kajutsun, replied the cloaked figure. Okay Akajitsun, why are you here if this is my mind? Simple, to restore your memory about that sword of yours, was the cloaked figure's reply. Wait, you know how I got that sword? Yes, why wouldn't I? I'm the one that gave it to you in the first place, was all he said as Naruto's eyes jumped halfway out of his sockets. Here, come with me so I can explain why you have it and other things about you. A loud roar was heard from down a pathway that was light with red lights, away from ears that don't need to know. Suddenly Naruto found himself in a black and red room lined with many statues of foxes with different amounts of tails ranging from 1 to 8 in most cases, but one caught his attention and it was the biggest statue in the room. It was a statue of a fox that had 10 tails, which to Naruto seemed strange as he had always heard that foxes with more than one tail were called kitsune and they only grew up to 9 tails. So why did this one have 10? I see you've noticed the statue of the only kitsune to ever be blessed by Kami and gain a 10th tail, said the cloaked figure from behind Naruto. Wow, is there any that have come close to that yet? Naruto asked. Yes, but sadly as of right now he won't be able to ever receive his 10th tail because of what he did 12 years ago. What did he do? Now Naruto was curious, what could a kitsune do that would prevent them from ever getting a 10th tail? He attacked your village. His name was the Kyuubi, and because of him attacking the hidden leaf, Kami will never give him her blessing now, he said while looking down, wondering whatever caused the kitsune to attack the village in a bloodthirsty rage like he did. He was the kindest kitsune he had ever known. I thought the Kyuubi was killed by the 4th, wasn't he? Yes and no. Yes in the aspect that he no longer has a true body, and no in the aspect that his soul and chakra still exist. He was sealed away by the 4th into the only thing that could hold it, someone of Uzumaki blood, namely you, he said while staring at the blonde kid standing in front of him. He sealed the Kyuubi in me? But why? And this explains why the villagers hate me so much, Naruto said while looking confused, sad and lost all at the same time. That is for a different time, Naruto. As for now I will tell you what that sword is, and something that no one knows about you, not even the Hokage knows this yet, but you will have to tell him, the man said as he looked at the young boy that now had some hope in his eyes. Okay, can you tell me about the sword first please? Naruto asked, as it had been the one thing that had driven the poor young teen up a wall to no end. Sure, it is known as the Kitsune sword, and it is depicted in many legends that are passed down from one generation of Kitsune to the next, and is known to be very strong if you know how to use it right. It is also the only blessing that can be given by Kami to anyone that has a tie with Kitsune, you being the container of Kyuubi, being how you were able to obtain it and be the very first to ever receive the blessing. The man explained to Naruto with a tone to his voice as if he had heard this many times before and was expected to tell to someone in the near future. Sounds strange to me, but I'll believe you. Now what is the second thing that you wanted to tell me? Naruto said with a look like he believed half of what he's being told. Yes, onto that matter now. Okay, the first of which is more so a gift from me and the entire Kitsune clan is this, he started to say as a puff of smoke appeared under his hand, and when it was cleared there was a large thick scroll there. A clan summoning contract with the Kitsune clan. By signing this, people that are a part of your clan can summon as Kitsune for various things including communication and battle. Now each member of your clan that wishes to sign the contract will have to the same way as all of them have to be signed in blood, he said as Naruto opened up the scroll and bit into his thumb to draw blood and started to sign the contract. Now the second thing with the contract is that with you, as you are the first member of your clan and first to sign the contract, causes this to be both a normal and clan summoning contract, meaning you are the Kitsune sage now. Now onto the second thing I wished to tell you is that a part of Kami's blessing to you is that your clan now has an exclusive bloodline that you have now. He spoke as Naruto started to jump up and down for joy, screaming something about him actually having a bloodline. This bloodline is a dujutsu called the Kitsune, and then a bit more. Now there is something you must know, is that because of this the council will try to force the CRA on you and kill you as soon as you have a child possessing the bloodline, but sadly if you die because of this reason, Kami herself will come down and seal away the bloodline permanently, meaning the village will never have it. And secondly, as you can only have one mate, as the bloodline only allows one and it's a permanent thing. Once you mark your mate, you are married in all but law and paper. Wow, I never thought they would try to do that to me. And what was it that you wanted me to tell the old man? Naruto said, still ecstatic about the face. He had a bloodline and it's a dujutsu nonetheless. Actually, with you possessing the Kitsune summoning contract, now all you'll have to do is summon me when you see the Hokage after you're done at the academy tomorrow, and I'll explain things to him. Oh, and before I forget, here are the seals you'll need to perform to summon the Kitsune or me," he said as he showed Naruto the hand seals. "Now I must be going, and you need to actually wake up as it is morning and time for you to start getting ready to go to the academy." The man then started to fade away into nothingness along with the surroundings as Naruto started to wake up. Exit Mindscape. Wow, that was one weird dream, Naruto thought as he finished getting dressed for the academy. That was no dream, kid. A deep-sounding voice said in the back of Naruto's head. "Who's there? What do you want?" Naruto asked while starting to panic. "Relax, kid, it's only me, the Kyuubi. Now that was no dream last night, that was all real, and I can say that as I know the guy that spoke to you, and no, I won't tell you who it was either, that's for him to tell you when he's ready to," said the Kyuubi to Naruto through a mind link. Okay, and I need to finish getting ready for the day, so just shut up, you furball," Naruto said to the Kyuubi in an irritated manner. "Alright, since we're at the end of today's lesson, let's review the basics of chakra," Iruka said as he started his final lecture of the day. "Who can tell me what chakra is?" Several hands shot up. "Alright, Sakura. Chakra is the..." Sakura started as Naruto then drowned her out and decided he'd try talking to Kyuubi. "Hey Q, you there?" Naruto thought to Kyuubi as not to alert anyone in the class to him having a demon sealed in his gut. "Yeah, I'm always here, kid, remember I'm sealed in here, so whatever happens to you happens to me," Q said back to Naruto through the mind link. "Why is it that everyone thinks you're a bad demon? You seem like a nice normal kitsune to me," Naruto asked. "Well, first is I'm not really a demon, I'm one of the strongest summons for the Kitsune clan aside from a Kagitsune, and well, anything that you people find that is enormously strong and has evil intent is a demon. And well, the reason I attacked almost 13 years ago was because of a genjutsu that caused me to be placed in a rage-like state which could only be cast on me by one person, Madara Uchiha." Q replied back. "Didn't the first kill Madara at the Valley of Endo?" Naruto asked, now very confused. "Yes and no, he did kill Madara, but not before Madara managed to find a way to keep him alive long enough to gain true immortality." "So he's still alive?" "Yes, very much so, but don't worry about that for now. And I doubt that you noticed, but you've had that shy Hyuga girl staring at you all day, and I can feel a pull on your soul towards her." "Who, Hinata? No way, she wouldn't like me. I've heard her father yelling at the elders about how they treat her and what they say about me. I can tell she loves you a lot, and judging from the pull on our souls that I'm feeling, I'd say that it's destined, and I can tell from how you act around her that you like her too." "You sure?" "Yes, now Iruka is finishing his lecture up now, so that means class is almost over," Q said as he kicked Naruto out of his mind back into the real world. "Alright class, I will see you tomorrow. Have a nice day, you're dismissed now," Iruka said as he went back to his desk. Everyone then stood up and filed out the door, all except one, Naruto. "Hey Iruka-sensei, can I get you to come with me to see Gigi?" Naruto asked his teacher as he walked up to his desk. "Sure Naruto, I don't see why I can't. Why do you need me to come with you though?" Iruka replied, now curious as Naruto has never asked him to go to the Hokage's office. "Thanks, and well, it's for two reasons, the first being I had to tell him something and I'd like you to know about it too, and the second is because of me having this new sword of mine, the secretary won't ever let me pass without sicking some anbu on me," Naruto said while looking down as he spoke the last part. "Sure thing Naruto, let's get going," Iruka said as he got up and exited the class with Naruto unlocking his class door. Hokage building. "Hello Iruka, what are you doing here?" asked the secretary. "I'm just escorting Naruto to see the Hokage," Iruka replied. "Ah yes, the demon brat, but I'm you," the secretary started but never finished as she had a sword in her throat shortly after she said the word demon. "What the hell Naruto? Why did you just kill the Hokage secretary?" Iruka yelled to the boy that looked like he wasn't fazed by killing the secretary. "Iruka-sensei, you know very well why I did that, as do the 4 anbu that are hiding in the walls and ceiling," Naruto said as he pulled his sword out of the secretary and wiped the blood off. "Naruto, come in here now." "You too Iruka," was heard from within the double doors next to the secretary's desk. The two did as they were told very quickly as the man sounded rather mad. "Hey Gigi, we've got some things to talk about, so if you would be so kind as to have all 5 of the anbu in the room, please leave," Naruto said as he looked at the Hokage with a look that they've never seen on Naruto. He was serious about what he was going to say. Anbu, leave us at once, you too rude. The old man said as he made a mental note to have Danzo punished for treason as he didn't follow orders to disband his root program. After the Anbu and Root left the office, performed a set of seals and activated a soundproofing jutsu, and then went through another set of seals that disabled all of Danzo's bugs. Alright, now everything that is said in here will stay between us. Now Naruto, can you please start and explain how it is that you knew about the Anbu in my office and in the hall, as well as the Root Anbu that even I couldn't tell was there? The old Hokage said while he took out his pipe, knowing he was going to need it for what was to come. Well, I'm here about a few things, the first of which would be the truth, and the second involves something that you must know, and to help with this, as it still seems a little weird, I'm going to call out a friend. Naruto said as he bit his thumb, causing both the Hokage's and Iruka's eyes to widen in shock and surprise as Naruto wiped the blood across one of his hands and then went through a series of hand seals and placed his hand on the ground while saying, "Summoning jutsu," followed by a puff of smoke that would be enough to surround a man of Iruka's size. When the smoke cleared, you could see the same cloaked figure that had told Naruto about his sword. "Naruto, who may I ask is this?" both the Hokage and Iruka asked at the same time. "And how do you know the summoning jutsu?" "I may be able to answer that for you, Hokage-sama," said the figure. "For now I do not wish to show you what I look like, but I will tell you this: my name is Akajitsune. And I am the boss summon for the Kitsune clan and Naruto's personal summon. Now I'm only in a human form because it'd probably destroy about 10 blocks in each direction if I was. Now onto the more fitting business. As far as Naruto being able to detect the Anbu, you can blame his Kekkei Genkai for that, as it allows him to be able to do many things. The first is his sense of smell and his hearing, which are on par with that of a tracking fox. Now before you start asking all these questions, yes, it has a dojutsu called the Kitsunegan, and no, he can never be forced to use the CRA due to his bloodline only allowing him to have one mate, and it's for life. So he can only have one mate in his whole life, and only he can choose that person, but they must accept his offer as well. Now onto the detailed info of his bloodline. On his 13th birthday, which is in a few days, he will experience a lot of pain that night as his bloodline will awaken fully and start to mature. He will gain a pair of fox ears and a tail, both of which are retractable. Second, he is able to do this now, as he could have been able to do this when he was 5, is to get you your clan's specialized sword, which you would have received from us when you were 5 had we been able to find you then. Akajitsune said as he reached into his cloak and brought out a medium-sized scroll labeled Kitsunegan and opens the scroll enough to reveal a storage seal. He unseals a small piece of metal from the scroll, then rolls the scroll back up and hands the metal to Naruto. That is what we call Kitsune metal. It's a special kind of metal that when fed chakra will pour into the sword, best suited for the person who put chakra into it, and as such, just like your current sword, will only let you hold it. Go ahead, Naruto, channel some chakra into the metal, was heard from Iruka, who had finally gotten over the amount of information he was receiving from Akajitsune about Naruto. Naruto nods and starts to channel his chakra into the metal, which then starts to morph and bend and stretch into the shape of a katana with a falcon's peak at the tip of it. The handle then starts to shift and change to reveal another fox head, but this one is red in color with golden streaks running through it to an orange and black colored handle. Everyone stared at the metal as it shifted into that of Naruto's sword. After it finished, the Hokage was the first to speak. "That was rather amazing, I've never seen anything like it before." "Me neither," was Iruka's reply while the sword's sheath materialized around the blade. "Alright, now that that part is covered inside that scroll is not only what his blood does but also some items he will be able to use," Akajitsune said while pointing to the scroll on the Hokage desk. "Now on to the next thing, which is actually linked to something I want you to tell Naruto about when I'm done." Naruto now knows about the Kyuubi, as I told him when I explained to him about the sword and summoning contract, which by the way is a clan contract. Anyone not a member of the clan by blood or mate mark well kill if they try to sign the contract, especially that spoiled pompous Uchiha that's actually not even worth shit. We want kill him, oh no, well eat him alive. Now Hokage-sama, I believe Naruto knowing about Kyuubi and what the secretary of yours said justified him killing her as it violated your law, Akajitsune said while adding some key when he mentioned Sasuke. "Yes, it does make perfect sense now. What is it that you wanted me to tell young Naruto here?" the Hokage asked, now extremely curious about how much this one simple summon knew. "Everything, but more specifically that one SSS class secret about him that only those there for it would know about," Akajitsune said while the Hokage eye nearly popped out of his head. How does he know about that? Only Mitsunade, Jiraiya, Kakashi, thought the Hokage. When he had his voice back, ah yes, that well, seeing as his wish was to tell him when he learned about the furball that was sealed inside of him, as he put it. Well, looks like I'm going to get to have fun with the council after this. At this the other three in the room chuckled. I don't know why you're chuckling, you three are going with me too. At this everyone stopped chuckling and went pale, especially Naruto, as hell have at least one more person to kill because he knew they'd break the third's law. Alright, back to business. Naruto, you're not exactly as clanless as everyone claims, as actually you're from two of the strongest clans. There was the first is your mother, Kushina's clan, the Uzumaki, the clan that has allowed the village to place the symbol of their old hidden village on our cloths since they came here, and the other is your father's clan, and which you will have to choice to take that name up and use your true full name or not. Your father, well, where to begin with him? He was taught by the best and then taught the best. As a matter of fact, you may not know it, but you already know him, as does everyone in the village. Naruto, your father was Minato Namikaze, the fourth Hokage, also known as the Yellow Flash. The Hokage said to Naruto, whom was all ears for this, as he had thought he was a nobody. But when he heard he was the only remaining heir to an entire village and the son of the strongest ninja of the leaf, making him practically royalty, his eyes bugged out and he came very close to fainting. Wait, Gigi, you mean to tell me that my father was the fourth Hokage? Well, in regards to what you said about me deciding to take my father's name or not, well, I've decided that I will. It's time this village realizes who they've been treating wrongly and what it could have caused for them. From now on, I'm no longer Naruto Uzumaki, but I'm Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, the last of the Namikaze clan and Uzumaki clan. And I know about my father's enemies inside the village and outside the village, and as such I'd like to request a small group of Anbu for protection until I'm a genin. Naruto said in a serious tone that had never been heard from the blonde before. Very well, I'll make sure you get that, and now since our personal meeting is over we can remove these privacy jutsu, and also I need to call a clan meeting, said the Hokage as he called in some Anbu. Alright, I need you guys to gather up the council, both civilian and shinobi. The meeting will be in 3 hours' time, the Hokage said as he stood up. Hi Hokage-sama, was heard from all the Anbu in the room as they then vanished. Now Naruto, with you being from such prestigious clans, we can't have you wearing that all the time, can we? Let's go find some new stuff for you to wear, said the Hokage as he and Naruto started to leave the office. You two are coming as well. Alright, this should be a good place to start looking for new clothes for you, said the third Hokage as he and Naruto stopped and looked up at the sign that read, Konoha Clothing. Hey Gigi, are you sure it's okay for me to go in there? Naruto asked, remembering them charging him 5 times what the tag said for his current clothing after chasing him out a few years beforehand. Yes Naruto, I'm sure you can go in there, said the aging Hokage. Okay, but only since you say so, replied the blonde as they walked into the store, the Hokage first followed by Naruto behind him. Ah, hello Lord Hokage, what can I get for you today? Asked the store owner as he walked up to the Hokage, not noticing Naruto behind him. I don't need anything, but this young man here does, said the old man as he stepped to his side, revealing Naruto. The store owner's eyes narrowed before yelling, Get out of my store, you demon filth. Not the brightest words, as he soon found out that despite the old Hokage's age he was still as fast as he was right before his prime. The old man had the store owner pinned to the wall before anyone could blink. I advise that you don't ever say that again, as you should be dead right now, but I'm letting you live as you're the only shop in the village that sells ninja clothes, which is why I'm here. I need to get this here boy appropriate ninja clothing fit for a clan heir, as well as formal clothing for him, with this symbol on the right shoulder of the ninja cloths, he said while holding up a piece of paper with his free hand to show the storekeeper a symbol that no one has seen in almost 13 years. And I also need this symbol on the left shoulder, as he placed the first slip of paper in his pouch and pulled out another paper with another symbol on it. Very well Lord Hokage, the store owner said as he began to register everything. Naruto, I'll help you find some cloths that are more fitting for you, said the third as he released the man from the wall so that he could go start preparing to add the symbols to the clothes that the blonde would pick out. Naruto then went over to a rack of shirts and started to rummage through it till he found a shirt he liked. He then went to another rack that had pants and started rummaging through the rack until he found a pair of pants that he liked. He then went to a rack on the wall and grabbed a pure white cloak that had no sleeves, allowing his shoulders to show and would reach his ankles, and had an open front with a single clasp. He then called out to the store owner, Hey, here are the clothes I picked out. Do you by any chance have some color dyes as well that I could use on the cloak? Yeah, here are the dyes and I'll get started on the shirts. Lord Hokage, I'm going to need a copy of both those symbols to put on his shirt, the man said as he reluctantly handed Naruto a cloth dyeing kit. Sure thing, here you go, said the third as he handed the papers that had the symbols on them to the man. Thanks. Hey Gaki, don't go off making a mess out of those dyes, the store owner said to the blonde, whom was now at a dyeing station working with the dyes and his chakra to change how the cloak looked. How many of the pants and shirts do you need, Lord Hokage? The man asked from the far back side of the store, sounding like he was in the storage room. About 20 each, the Hokage yelled back and then towards Naruto's direction and asked, Hey Naruto, how many of those cloaks are you going to need? Just this one. I've got an idea to use a seal to constantly repair any damage that this thing takes. Naruto replied without moving or losing his concentration. 1 hour later. Alright Lord Hokage, here are all the shirts and pants you wanted, he said, setting them down on the counter. Thank you. Naruto, I'm guessing you want to wear this now? The Hokage asked the blonde. Yay, I can't stand this damn jumpsuit. Well, I just can't stand the color of it. Kill me, orange is so not me, but I don't mind the touch of blue, he said as he walked up to them and grabbed one of the shirts and a pair of the pant and went towards the changing rooms. As soon as the boy was out of view and earshot range or so, the store owner thought he looked at the Hokage with a look of pure confusion and wonder. Lord Hokage, I know you like the boy, and during his time in here I've realized he isn't the Kyuubi like everyone says he is, but are you sure about that one symbol being on his clothes? I mean, it is the symbol of the Namikaze clan which died with the 4th Hokage. Trust me, don't worry about the symbol, you'll know why by the end of tomorrow or today why I had you place that symbol on there, the third replied while smiling. It was at this time that Naruto came out of the changing room wearing his new clothes, which consisted of pitch black Enbu-style pants, a black t-shirt with a dark orange stripe running down each side of the shirt, and a black cloak with red flames running along the bottom of it. On his right shoulder was a circle with 8 thorns that swirled into the center of it, and on his left shoulder was the swirl design that represented the Uzumaki clan. Hey Gigi, I understand the symbol on my left shoulder as it's the symbol for the Uzumaki clan, but what about the one on my right? The blonde asked, all too curious about it. I'll tell you before the council meeting when we're back at the tower, the Hokage responded while setting out the proper amount of money on the counter and sealing the rest of the clothes into a storage seal. As he looked up, he realized that the store owner was rather pale compared to how he looked earlier. He looked just like the 4th. The store owner mumbled out to himself before speaking up so Naruto could hear him. Hey Naruto, I'm sorry for how I've treated you in the past. I was too much of a blind fool to see who you really were and never tried watch you to see if what everyone said was true, so from now on you're free and welcome to come here for all your clothing needs, and I'll start spreading word to some of the other stores that you're pretty good despite how you act at times, and as such I'd like to give an MVP status here so you'll get things cheaper. The storekeeper had on a genuine smile during all of this, showing Naruto that he wouldn't mistreat him anymore. Thanks, and I'll be sure to come here to when I need more cloths, which knowing how I train will be about the time I graduate the academy in a few months, the blonde said as he smiled back at the store owner and then turned to the Hokage. Come on Gigi, we have to get to the office so I can get my swords back. I kind of left them there on accident, hehe, Naruto said while scratching the back of his head nervously. Very well Naruto, I guess we should get back there. Besides, I still have to tell you about that symbol and also about what will be discussed at the clan meeting later. I wonder how many idiots have entered my office and tried to take Naruto's swords. Shiver. Never mind, I don't want to know, the third said and thought before walking up to Naruto, setting a hand on his shoulder, then performed a one-handed seal shun signing. Doubt I spelled that right. If any of you have the correct spelling, please let me know so I can fix it. Out of the store with Naruto. Hokage's office. In a swirl of leaves, the Hokage and Naruto appeared in the office. The Hokage then did a set of seals and activated a sound barrier. Alright, now about that symbol on your right shoulder, that is the Namikaze clan symbol. It was changed from a circle with 8 thorn points surrounding a small circle to the one on your shoulder when your father learned the clan specialized with time and space manipulation jutsus, which is shown by the swirl you see there. The original sun-like symbol represented the speed at which they could learn things as well as the hair color that everyone in the clan had. The old man explained while sitting down and gesturing for Naruto to do the same. Wow, so I guess that explains why I'm able to pick up on things so fast. Ever since I was little it was because of my blood. Naruto said, rather surprised about him being able to learn so fast, being something caused by his heritage. Yes, now onto the council meeting that will be happening shortly. I want you to know that there will only be 4 of my Anbu there, and I want you to tell me how many of them are there as a way to display your new bloodline. And since I'm sure you already know how to activate your dujutsu, if you wanted to, you may want to be able to do that if they don't believe what we tell them about you now having a bloodline. After we're done explaining your new bloodline, we will go into the topic covering your heritage. Now there may be some that will think you look like your dad when you walk in like that, so I want you to walk in a henge of yourself in your old clothes. At this, Naruto groaned as he hated that damn jumpsuit. The only reason he wore it was because it was the only thing they'd sell to him. After I announced to them, I want you to release the henge and show them how you really look. Alright, I guess I can put up with having to deal with that for a bit. After Naruto said this, he turned towards where he left his swords to find 1 Anbu and 2 Jonin laying on the ground near them, with one of the Jonin twitching, showing he recently tried to take the swords from where they were sitting against the wall. Well, I guess they'll think twice before touching those again. And Gigi, I've got a plan to take care of your Danzo problem. Alright, now you've got my attention, Naruto. I'm sure you know how much of a pain that man is. What do you have in mind for him? The third said with a raised eyebrow, now curious about what Naruto had planned. Well, Naruto started to explain his plan to the aging Hokage. That sounds like a really great idea, Naruto. You have my permission to do just that. The third said with the biggest smile anyone has seen since he resigned the title of Hokage to the fourth. Well, it's time for the council meeting, and I guess a bit of fun too. Henge, Naruto said as he transformed into how he looked earlier that day. Alright, I'm set to go, Gigi. Good, now let's go give these idiots something to talk about, said the Hokage as he walked out of the office with Naruto in tow. Council chambers. Does anyone know why we were called in for a meeting by the Hokage? Asked one of the civilians. I'm not sure, but I want Naruto Uzumaki here as he has something that is to be given to the Sasuke Uchiha immediately, said another council member, but this one was wrapped in bandages with only one eye showing and a scar on his chin. As he said this, the doors to the council chambers opened up to reveal the third Hokage and Naruto. The two walked in and the Hokage took his seat while Naruto stood next to him. Alright, quiet down, this meeting will now begin, said the Hokage after he sat down. Lord Hokage, why is he here? This meeting is for members of the council only, said one of the civilian council members. He is here because I asked him to attend it with me, the Hokage stated. Alright, I guess I'll start this off. Naruto, if I'm not mistaken, you're in possession of a sword that Sasuke Uchiha requested you give to him, but yet you refused to. I'd like you to hand the sword over to me immediately so I may give it to the Uchiha for his use, stated the elder that was wrapped in bandages. Sure, you can have my swords if you can take them, Danzo, Naruto stated as he walked to the middle of the council chamber and unsheathed both swords and stuck them point first into the ground and then took 3 steps backwards. At this, Danzo stepped up and said, "You're making this too easy, boy, just handing over such fine weapons to me to give to the Uchiha. Very smart of you." As he walked towards the sword. Yes, but not too smart of you, Naruto said low enough that only the shinobi on the council heard him as Danzo grabbed the hilt of the kitsune sword, which then shot 3 bolts of lightning at Danzo, 1 red, 1 blue, and 1 yellow, hitting him square in the chest, placing him into a coma on the spot. Well, I most certainly didn't expect that to happen, was heard from Nara clan head, as Naruto walked up to his swords and placed them back in the sheaths. Didn't expect that to happen? The demon just killed him, a member of the civilian council started to say, but was cut short by a sword through their throat. Anyone else wish to break the third's law? Naruto spoke as he flicked the blood off of his blade and placed it back in the sheath while going back to stand next to the Hokage. Thank you, Naruto. As you all know, mentioning anything about that isn't allowed and is punishable by death, which Naruto just so happens doesn't happen to have a problem with doing. The third spoke. Now on to the real reason we're here today. The first is a new bloodline in the Leaf Village, and it's a dujutsu, making it even better to have here. At this, all the members of the council looked at the Hokage with wide eyes, all having one thought on their mind: a new dujutsu in the Leaf Village. Once a few of the council members gathered themselves, one of them finally spoke up. Is the person with this bloodline a male, and who, may I ask, is it, and what is the bloodline? I've only ever heard of 3 dujutsu in the world. True, there were only 3 dujutsu in the world, but there was a new one born just a few days ago, and the one that possesses it is here in this room with us. As a matter of fact, since I know Danzo didn't close route, I'd like it if he would kindly tell us how many of them are in this room. The third said while smiling. Sure thing Gigi. I'd say there are about 10 root Anbu here in the room, and as a matter of fact there is about 3 of them in the roof above you and the others are all near the shinobi members of the council. Naruto said while pointing to the location of each root Anbu. At this all of the clan heads and civilians on the council stared with wide eyes, then finally the clan head for the Inuzuka clan spoke up. How did he know they were there? Even I couldn't detect anyone else inside of here besides us. Allow me to explain, my bloodline allows me to have fox-like senses which as we all know are better than that of a dog's, and as Gigi stated it is also a dojutsu that from what I understand from what Q has told me it is on par if not better than that of the Hyugas or the Uchiha's dojutsus. Naruto stated to the entire council. If this is so then the CRA must be used again as it will be used with Sasuke, but the Uchiha will get to pick first. Stated a wise but yet at the same time arrogant civilian council member. At this Naruto smirked and started to laugh his ass off. Ah yes, the CRA, yes, that is very nice of you to mention that and intend to use it for little Olmi, but there is a flaw in your plans. Naruto said while giving the council his fox-like smile. And what flaw would that be, Naruto? Stated one of the elders. Simply put, my bloodline won't allow it. Naruto stated as he watched most of the council give him confused looks. My bloodline will only allow me to take one maid and one alone, but also by taking this maid and marking her she will also gain my bloodline as well. Well, that is a very good reason for us to not be able to use the CRA on you. We will have to make a list of possible mates for you. Stated the second elder at the end of the room. Actually that won't be necessary as I have already chosen my mate. Naruto stated to the elder. And whom may I ask is this girl? Was the question asked by the Hyuga clan head. That Lord Hiashi I cannot reveal until I have revealed it to her first. Naruto stated as he looked at Hiashi. Very well Naruto, now Lord Hokage, if I may ask, what is the other reason you have called us here today? Hiashi asked while looking at the aging Hokage. The second reason I called you all here is regarding the Namikaze clan seat here on the council. The Hokage started as he was smiling. Why would we discuss that seat, Lord Hokage? It should be removed from the council as there are none from that clan left. Stated another member from the civilian council. Man, I'm getting tired of saying that I need names for these dumb asses. Anyone got an idea? If so, drop me a line in a PM or review and I will make sure that you receive credit for the name. Ah yes, on the contrary, the Namikaze clan isn't dead as everyone once thought. I have found the last remaining member of the Namikaze clan here in the Hidden Leaf village. The Hokage stated while holding in his laughter at the looks people were giving him. Some were smiles, others were picking their jaws up from the floor. Hokage-sama, when the council heard this they were shocked as they never knew Naruto to ever refer to the Hokage as that. If I may? You may, Naruto, was all the Hokage said, leaving everyone confused. As soon as Naruto heard the Hokage say that, he brought his hands up into the tiger seal and yelled, "Release." As soon as he did he was surrounded by smoke. When the smoke cleared, Naruto was standing there in his new clothes looking at everyone on the council. As soon as they saw the symbols on his shoulders there were outbursts from the civilian side of the council, but one stood out as it came from a pink-haired female on the civilian council. Impossible, he can't be a Namikaze. The shinobi side was reserved and all had one thought on their mind, damn, he looks like the fourth. Shut up, the Hokage yelled out to every one of the members on the civilian side of the council. Naruto is the last remaining member of both the royal Uzumaki family from the Lost Whirlpool village and the Namikaze clan, but to be more specific, he is the only son of Minato Namikaze and Kushina Uzumaki, also known as the Yellow Flash and the Red Death. He stated after everyone finally stopped yelling. Now Naruto, if you would be so kind as to take your seat on the council. And for those that don't know, the Namikaze seat was sealed by the fourth under a blood seal that only one of direct descent from him could unseal. So if you would, Naruto, place some of your blood on the seal that is on the floor next to Hiashi. It should be enough to prove your heritage. At this point Naruto went to the empty space next to the Hyuga head and wiped away some of the dirt that was on the floor, revealing an old blood seal, which he promptly bit his thumb and smeared some blood on the seal, which was shortly followed by a cloud of smoke and a poof. When the smoke cleared there was a seat that held both the Uzumaki and Namikaze clan symbols on it. Naruto then took a seat in it and looked over the rest of the council. I knew Minato and Kushina were expecting a son, but I was led to believe that the boy was killed during the Kyuubi attack. Stated the Hiashi while looking at Naruto. and it saddens me so that this village is full of idiots that ignored your father's wish for you to be seen as a hero. And I am even more sorry that I was blinded by the elders of my clan into thinking you were a monster and hating you." He was now at Naruto's feet with his head lowered. "Can you ever find it in you to forgive me? Hiyashi-san, please stand back up and stop making a fool out of yourself. I have forgiven you a long time ago along with all the other idiots in this village. Although my ears still haven't forgiven the pink-haired council member over there, I have forgiven even her for how she treated me." Naruto spoke to the man at his feet, who then stood up. "Thank you so very much, Naruto-san," Hiyashi said as he went back to his seat. "Now that is the last of the things I wished to talk about. This meeting is hereby adjourned," the Hokage said as he stood up. As everyone stood up and started to leave, Naruto got a few glares of hatred from a few select members of the civilian council, while others gave him confused looks with smiles. But as Hiyashi was about to leave, Naruto reached out and grabbed his shoulder. "Can you hold on for a bit, Hiyashi-san? I'd like to talk to you about something privately." "Sure thing, Naruto-san," he replied as they waited for everyone to leave. "What can I do for you today?" he said to Naruto with a smile on his face. "Well sir, I'd like to disclose some specific information to you that I didn't want the rest of the council to know about just yet," Naruto said while dropping the formalities and taking a more serious look. As everyone stood up and started to leave, Naruto got a few glares of hatred from a few select members of the civilian council, while others gave him confused looks with smiles. But as Hiyashi was about to leave, Naruto reached out and grabbed his shoulder. "Can you hold on for a bit, Hiyashi-san? I'd like to talk to you about something privately." "Sure thing, Naruto-san," he replied as they waited for everyone to leave. "What can I do for you today?" he said to Naruto with a smile on his face. "Well sir, I'd like to disclose some specific information to you that I didn't want the rest of the council to know about just yet," Naruto said while dropping the formalities and taking a more serious look. "Alright Naruto, what is this specific information you wish to tell me?" Hiyashi asked Naruto. "Well sir, it's about your daughter Hinata. I've recently stumbled onto the fact that I love her and thought I should at least talk to her father before I decided to approach her and ask her out," Naruto said to Hiyashi. "So earlier when you mentioned that you already picked a girl that you wished to have as a mate, you picked Hinata, is that it?" he asked the blonde that was standing in front of him. "Yes sir, and I have a request for you, that if you could please refrain from telling Hinata about my bloodline, even though it may not be awakened beyond my senses, which I would have had from birth if I was born with it. I'd still like to be the one to tell her after I'm sure that she loves me as well," the young boy stated. "Very well, I won't tell her about anything that happened here today and let you tell her, but I want you to know that you don't need to see if she loves you or not, as she has held an unyielding crush on you since before you went to the academy, and that has developed to a point where she has even stood up to the Hyuga Council stating that she won't have an arranged marriage with anyone that she does not choose and that she will only choose one. Later that same night, when I asked her who she would take in an arranged marriage, she said Naruto before she fainted," Hiyashi stated while watching the young Namikaze's face as he went from his usual smile to a look of sheer amazement that someone could love him and hold on to that love like it was her own life. "Thank you for telling me that sir, that's all I needed to know. I'll tell her about my true name when I see her next, and then about my bloodline when she's ready to know that. Now sir, if I might formally ask, may I have permission to date your daughter in the hopes of eventually marrying her and raising a family with her?" Naruto asked with a serious face. "You may, young man, but I must warn you, the moment you ask her out she will most likely faint because of how shy she is, but I assure you that she will accept. But I would like to make a request of you, and it is that you won't take her to that ramen bar you always go to, but rather a more formal pace. You just tell me when and the time and I will make the reservations for you, and they will be under Namikaze. They probably won't believe you're a Namikaze, so I will leave with then a scroll holding a blood seal that will open only to Namikaze blood. If they refuse, initially ask for the scroll," Hiyashi said while smiling for once in his life because he was happy for his daughter. "Thank you sir, and I will come by later this afternoon to give you the location and time for the date," Naruto said while bowing. Now there is no need to bow to me, we are both clan heads now, and as such we are equals now," Hiyashi said while gesturing for Naruto to rise. "Thank you again sir, I will see you later as I must go find Hinata, and if for some reason or another I can't make it to your estate tonight, then I will be sending one of my messenger foxes with the information as well as the reason why I could not be there," Naruto said. "No thank you Naruto, you're making me happy knowing my daughter will be happy, and the last time I was like this was when Hanabi was born before her mother died. Well, I must get going now. I wish you luck with my daughter and you have my blessing," Hiyashi said as he turned towards the door to leave. At this time Naruto decided to take his leave as well so he could go find Hinata and ask her out, but what Naruto couldn't figure out was where would he go for the date. Oh well, I guess I'll be able to find a decent place for our date, he thought as he walked down a road towards where he thought Hinata would be, the village garden, as he had seen her there several times before. When Naruto got to the garden he noticed Hinata sitting on a bench staring off into the sky watching a few clouds pass by. At this sight Naruto smiled and called out to her, "Hey Hinata." "Ohio Naruto-kun." Hinata stuttered out to her longtime crush as she turned to look at him while blushing. "Heya Hinata, would you like to go out with me tomorrow night?" he asked her nervously. "Naruto-kun is asking me out, what should I do? I can't faint." He would probably take that as a no to his offer. Okay, be strong and just say yes. Hinata thought as she started to blush more before she stuttered out a barely audible, "I'd love to Naruto-kun." "Great, I'll pick you up from the Hyuga compound at 4:30 tomorrow afternoon, okay?" Naruto said while fighting down a blush of his own. "Okay," was all Hinata got out of her mouth before she fainted there right into Naruto's arms with the biggest blush he'd ever seen on the shy Hyuga. "Well, I guess I better get you home to your father and let him know about the date and where it'll be," Naruto said to himself as he started to walk back to the Hyuga compound while carrying Hinata bridal style. Hyuga compound. As Naruto arrived at the Hyuga compound, the two guards at the gate asked Naruto to wait while they got Hiyashi and some boy named Neji. While Naruto waited he couldn't help but notice the glare he was receiving from the second guard, whom was completely unaware that Hiyashi had just arrived until he heard the man say, "I suggest that you stop glaring at him like that if I were you." "Ah, hello sir, I brought Hinata here with me as she fainted, and I'd like to talk with you about what I asked of you earlier," Naruto said to the clan head. "Very well Naruto. Neji, can you please take Hinata and place her in her room so she may rest and eventually wake up?" At this, Neji, who had brownish black hair and was wearing the traditional clothing of the Hyuga clan and a Konoha headband on his forehead, came up and took Hinata from Naruto and then walked back into the compound. "Now can you please follow me to my study, we can talk there." With this, Hiyashi and Naruto started to walk into the compound and then to Hiyashi's study. When they got there, Hiyashi took a seat behind his desk while Naruto took a seat in front of his desk. "Alright Naruto, what have you figured out for your date with Hinata?" Hiyashi asked. "Hinata has agreed to a date tomorrow at 4:30 in the afternoon before fainting," Naruto said. "Okay, and where do you plan to take her?" "The same place my parents went on their first date, sir," Naruto said with a small smile. "Good choice or a date Naruto, and you can drop the sir, we're both clan heads and as such we are equals," Hiyashi said while nodding his head at where Naruto planned to take Hinata. "Thank you Hiyashi, I must get going now, I have to get ready for mine and Hinata's date tomorrow, still need to get something to wear," Naruto said as he stood. "No thank you Naruto, Hinata has been wishing to tell you her feelings for a long time, but because of the Hyuga council always calling her weak, she became a shy, withdrawn girl and doesn't socialize much because of it. I hope you can help her come out of her shell and show everyone who she really is," Hiyashi said as he stood up. "I'll do what I can Hiyashi," Naruto said as the two left his study towards the gate of the compound. When they got to the gate, Naruto turned to face Hiyashi and said, "Well, I'll see you tomorrow Hiyashi." "Yes, well, have a good night Naruto," Hiyashi said, and then turned around to see the two Hyuga guarding the gate with their eyes halfway out of their heads and their jaws on the ground. "What?" he asked with one eyebrow raised. He then just shrugged and walked back into the compound. With Naruto. Naruto had just walked into the store in which he got his ninja cloths at. When the store owner saw Naruto, he said, "Hello Naruto-san, what can I do for you today?" "Well, I need a formal kimono that is suitable for a ninja to fight in if needed and won't get in the way. Colors I'd like to be mostly red with hints of black as a fox that wraps around the kimono and the Namikaze clan symbol on the right shoulder like it is with my current cloths," Naruto said to the store owner. "Ah, a custom order, my favorites. Very well, I can have it done by noon tomorrow Naruto." "And if you don't mind me asking, why do you need this?" the store owner asked, letting his curiosity show. "I have a date tomorrow with the Hyuga heiress," Naruto said to the store owner. The Hyuga heiress, nice choice, and I can see why you want it battle ready considering how the people don't like you or know who you are right now and could attack her, calling her a demon whore. And the drunks will probably try to attack both of you while you're out." "Yay, that would be the reason," Naruto said as he chuckled slightly. Very well, I have the perfect thing in mind, it should be done tomorrow, so just come by around noon and pick it up. The store owner said. Thank you, Naruto started. Muchina. The store owner known as Muchina said. Thank you Muchina-san, I will see you tomorrow then to pick it up. Naruto said as he left the store. The next day, Naruto had just arrived at the Hyuga compound and it was 4:20. He was wearing a red kimono that had a black nine-tailed kitsune that stretched from its head at the bottom of the kimono and wrapped around to the tails, which ended on his right shoulder, with 8 of them forming the thorns of his clan symbol, and on forming the circle the thorns were held in. There were slits on both sides of the kimono allowing for easy movement in the case of needing to fight. Naruto walked up to the gate of the compound and the guards let him through, telling him to wait in the main greeting room. When Naruto got there he noticed Hiyashi was there as well. Hello Hiyashi. Naruto spoke out to the man. Oh why hello Naruto. Very nice choice on the kimono, though I must ask, why is it equipped with a few storage seals? And also battle ready? Hiyashi said with a very confused look on his face. Thank you, had it made specifically for tonight, and well, with my standing amongst the villagers and the fact it's a ninja village, you can never be unprepared or it could cost you your life, and something tells me tonight won't go without an incident with me being out with Hinata. Naruto said. Then I must say you're very well prepared for tonight, both date-wise and battle-wise. Hiyashi said. At this point Hinata came into the room wearing a solid lavender kimono. Hello Naruto-kun, you look very nice today. Hinata said with a slight stutter, showing that Naruto asking her out has helped her gain a bit of confidence. And you look gorgeous Hinata-chan, Naruto said to Hinata, making her blush. Well Hiyashi, we must get going if we're to make the reservation time. Very well Naruto, I set up the reservations for you as you requested, and I found a scroll your parents wanted me to open and give you the contents of should you choose to date Hinata. Hiyashi said as he handed Naruto a folded up piece of parchment and a small scroll. Thank you Hiyashi, do you know what it is? Naruto asked as they walked towards the front gate of the compound. Just give the paper to the attendant when you get to the restaurant, and Naruto, don't open that scroll till you're alone, and what you do with its contents is up to you. Hiyashi said as they reached the gates. Now you two have a good time, and Naruto, you know what to do if what you mentioned to me earlier happens. Will do Hiyashi, and thank you for letting me date your daughter. Naruto said as he and Hinata started to go towards where their date would be held. When they arrived at the location, Hinata was surprised by what she saw. It was a large restaurant called the Setting Sun. It was well known throughout Konoha as the most expensive high-end place in the village. As they walked in, Naruto and Hinata went to the receptionist. Hello, do you have any res? Get out of here, you demon scum. I have a note for you about a reservation I have for tonight. Naruto said, handing the note he received from Hiyashi to her. I suggest you read it unless you wish to answer directly to the Hyuga clan head and the Hokage, ma'am. At this she took the note and unfolded it and began to read what was written there. This is a forgery, you demon. The women shouted at Naruto. There is no seal on this, proving it's from the 4th Hokage. There is a seal on it, ma'am. Naruto said calmly. What's going on here? A middle-aged man in a suit said as he walked up to the front desk. This demon is trying to claim that this here note is from the 4th Hokage and that he is his son, sir. The women said respectfully while glaring at Naruto. Ah, Namikaze-sama, how may I help you tonight? He said as he bowed to Naruto and then retrieved the note from the women. I'm doing good, sir. We actually have a reservation here, same place my parents had theirs. I believe you remember where it is as you were the waiter for them that night. Naruto said to the man returning his bow. Ah yes, I remember that night. ID would be honored if I could serve the new Namikaze clan head on his first date a second time. He said, to which Naruto gratefully nodded his head. And you're fired. You may leave now. He spoke to the woman that was yelling at Naruto with a stern look. You'll regret this, you bastard, and you too, Kyuubi brat. Hope he kills you. You whore of a dem. She never finished her rage-induced rant towards Naruto and Hinata as she was paralyzed by a well-placed senbon to the base of her neck from the man that fired her. Anbu, I want her in cuffs and in the Hokage's offices now. I'll send a clone to the tower to inform the Hokage about her actions. He said as he made a hand sign Naruto had not seen before, forming a clone that went away with the Anbu that just appeared. I didn't know you were a ninja. Naruto said. I was a ninja chef, to be exact. My family has run this place for years and the head chef and owner has always been a ninja chef of a high caliber. Now if I may show you to your table. The owner said as he guided them to a set of stairs that led to the roof. Wow, Naruto-kun, this is gorgeous. Hinata stuttered out. They were now on the roof with a perfect view of a setting sun and the Hokage mountain. Thank you, Hinata-chan, Naruto said as he held out her seat for her to sit before going to his seat. Is there anything specific that you would like? The owner asked the young couple. Just the same thing my parents ordered if it's alright with Hinata. Naruto said, looking at Hinata, who just nodded. After about an hour of talking and eating the meals, Naruto asked the owner for the check. No need to worry yourself about that, this was on the house, it was a great honor to serve the two of you, was the owner's reply. Hey Hinata-chan, I'd like to show you a place I like to go when I think, if you'd like to, that is. Naruto said as he stood up from the table. I'd like that, Naruto-kun, Hinata replied with a stutter. Naruto then helped Hinata up and walked out of the restaurant. They were walking for about 10 minutes when Naruto took off to one side through a hidden pathway. When they reached the end of the path, they were standing on top of the fourth Hokage's head on top of the Hokage mountain. This, Hinata-chan, is where I go when I have to think about things. I've always come here my whole life, and I figured it was about time I shared it with someone else, as not many people know how to get here. Naruto explained. The view from up here is amazing, you can see the whole village from here. Hinata slightly stuttered. Yay, that's one of the reasons I like it so much, Naruto said. There was then a snapping noise from inside the woods that Naruto heard, but apparently Hinata didn't hear it as she was still staring out into village. Whoever you are, you better come out now, Naruto shouted at direction the noise came from, causing Hinata to look at him confused. Well, seems like you've got some skill, Brad, but it won't help either of you. Now be nice little kids and come with us to Kumo and we won't hurt you, said a man that emerged from the woods, followed by another man. Both wore vests signifying that they were Chunin with tan pants and had headbands on their heads with the symbol for the village hidden in the clouds. As if we'll come with you or let you take us, Naruto yelled, flaring his chakra, releasing the seals on the wrists of his kimono, unsealing the kitsune sword and his clan sword. Very well, I guess we get to knock you both out and then take you back with us through force, the first Chunin said. If you can, that is, said Naruto as he fell into a very low stance with the kitsune sword held out front and his clan sword held slightly back with the tip angled towards the ground. Looks like we've got a wannabe swordsman here, piece of cake, said the second man as he charged in to try to hit Naruto, who reacted with a quick twirl and a slash across the man's side. Why, you brat, I'm gonna make you pay, the man shouted, and then he charged straight for Hinata, intent on removing her from the fight even if she was too scared to react. Shit, he's going for Hinata, I can't let her get hurt. Naruto then appeared in front of the man with his bangs blocking his eyes, blocking the man's path, running a sword into his gut. I'll never let you touch her, Naruto shouted as he lifted his eyes to reveal the whites of them were consumed by his iris and that his pupils were now silted, making him look very fox-like. What the fuck? All we were told was that he was a Namikaze and a Jinchuriki. We weren't told he had a bloodline, yelled the man that had yet to fight Naruto. Also, it has finally awakened. You should feel honored, you just witnessed the awakening of the newest Jujutsu in this world, Naruto said as he pulled his sword out of the guy in front of him, letting him fall to the ground dead from a severe wound to his liver, causing him to quickly bleed out. Naruto then charged at the man in front of him but was cut short as the man quickly kicked him in the chest, knocking the wind out of him. Ha, not so tough are you, the Chunin yelled at Naruto. He then vanished to appear behind Naruto as he was getting up and hit him in the back of the neck, effectively knocking him out cold. Naruto-kun, Hinata called out while running over towards Naruto. Well, looks like the kid had some skills with a sword, and a nice one at that, the Chunin said as he reached down to grab the sword. As soon as his hand touched the sword, he was hit by a strong black bolt of lightning coming from the sword's hilt. Arg! The man screamed out as he was hit by the lightning before passing out cold. Hinata reached Naruto as the Chunin fell to the ground unconscious. Not knowing what to do, Hinata moved Naruto into her lap and started to cradle him, knowing that he was okay, just unconscious. About a minute after the Chunin was knocked out by Naruto's the Hokage, some Anbu and Hiashi appeared near Hinata, startling her a bit. What happened here? Was all that was heard from Hiashi once he saw the mess laying in front of him. After our date, Naruto-kun wanted to show me the view from up here as the sun was setting, and while we were up here these ninja from Kumo appeared intending to kidnap me and Naruto-kun. Naruto unsealed his sword to get ready for a fight, but after he hit one of them in their side, the guy charged for me. Naruto appeared in front of him, causing him to have the sword go right through him. The other guy knocked Naruto out and then tried to take his sword. Hinata said with as little stuttering as possible before her father and the Hokage took over. And once he grabbed the sword, he was hit by some form of a lightning attack, right? The Hokage asked. To which Hinata just nodded. For someone so young, he certainly does know how to fight when needed. Judging from what these two are wearing, I'd say they were Chunin from the Hidden Cloud Village. Hiyashi said. Yes, he certainly does have some potential. Anbu, check the one that got stabbed for vitals and restrain the other one and bring him to Ibiki. I'm sure you would love to have a new play toy. Hiyashi, can you help me get these two to the hospital to be treated and checked, and in Naruto's case given admitted for care? The Hokage said. Sure thing, Hokage-sama, Hiyashi said as he went over to where Hinata was holding Naruto and picked him up. Naruto, whether you know it or not, you have impressed me enough to say that I would not mind you dating Hinata even if the clan council gives me hell about it. Hiyashi thought to himself. Hinata, from what Naruto has told us, you should be able to pick up and carry his swords without getting hurt like us if we tried. The Hokage said to Hinata, who then hesitantly reached for Naruto's swords, not wanting to get zapped by them like the unfortunate Kumo ninja did. As her hand touched the handle of the sword, nothing happened, so she reached for the other sword and grabbed them. Just as I thought, he has chosen her as a mate, thus allowing her to carry and use his swords without them rejecting her. Thought the aging Hokage. Alright, let's get you guys to the hospital to be checked out, he said before leading them away from the Hokage mountain to the hospital. I'm actually impressed with you, Naruto. If only your father had been here to see what you did, he would have been so proud of you. Hiyashi thought as he stared at the still form of the blonde laying in a hospital bed with Hinata sleeping in the chair next to him, still in her kimono from the previous night. She seems so happy with him, and she's had an unwavering love for him for a few years now, even when the damn council threatened to brand her with the damn seal. Hiyashi was interrupted from his thoughts by a groan and slight movement from the bed. Naruto, how do you feel? He asked the blonde, who had started to wake up. Like I have kunai stuck in my eyes and was hit by a damn train. Naruto said while holding his head with his eyes still closed. Naruto, can you open your eyes for me? Hiyashi asked the young blonde. Sure, Naruto said as he opened his eyes to reveal them to be completely blue with a black slit for a pupil. As I thought, you have a dojutsu that is still active. To deactivate it, just stop the chakra flow to your eyes, and the pain is something you will get used to in due time, probably by noon for you. It's caused by having just awakened a dojutsu. Hiyashi said. Oh, thank you, Hiyashi. I didn't know how to deactivate it, only how to after it activated the first time. Naruto said as he deactivated his dojutsu. No problem, Naruto. I must thank you for what you did last night with protecting Hinata and all. Hiyashi said while lowering his head in a sort of informal bow. Speaking of which, what happened to that other guy? All I remember is killing that one guy and then losing control from seeing the other one hurt Hinata. After that it's all black. Naruto said with a slightly sad face at mentioning his first kill in combat. To be honest, I got lucky when I killed that guy as he underestimated me and I had the sword at the right angle for him to run into and hit a vital spot. The idiot pretty much killed himself in a sense. Sounds like you really did get lucky out there, Naruto, but nonetheless you still protected Hinata, said a third voice from the door. When Naruto heard this voice, he looked at the door and noticed it was the third Hokage. Now the second guy, well, he made the mistake of trying to get your sword after he knocked you out and is now Ibiki's personal play toy for the moment. He should have started the interrogation today after the Kumo nin wakes up. Good, hopefully we'll get something out of him. I personally would like to know where the Cloud found out about Naruto's heritage, as it wasn't supposed to be known to anyone outside the village. Now we have to worry about Iwa coming after us and him along with the Cloud, since they've already made one attempt to get him. Hiyashi said. Naruto, the Hokage said, getting the blonde's attention. I know that this was your first kill in combat and also the first one that you had that wasn't out of hate like when you decided to kill my assistant, but don't let it get to you. As ninja we encounter death every day of our life, whether it be an enemy or a comrade. Mourn for the lose of life, but never stop feeling the sorrow of killing. When you forget the pain of killing another is when you will truly become what this village has called you for your entire life. Thanks, Gigi. You've always had a way with knowing what I'm feeling, haven't you? Naruto asked rhetorically. Now I believe you had to get to the academy as class will begin in 30 minutes. spoke the third. Alright, just let me get back into my clothes and I'll get going. Gigi. I assume you'll be handling my release papers like the previous times? Replied Naruto. Yes, now get going and expect a council meeting once Ibiki has finished with his session. Was the answer Naruto got back. With that, both the third and Hiyashi left the room and closed the door behind them. Well, better get going. If what Hiyashi said is true, then Hinata will be at the academy when I get there, thought Naruto. Hokage office. Alright Hiyashi, I know you have your ideas about what happened, so let me hear them, spoke the Hokage as he sat down behind his desk. I fear we have a traitor in our midst, and I can only think of two places where it could be. First, the council, most likely civilian, as we both know how much they hate Naruto, or my second idea would be the Hyuga Council, as the assailants attacked both Naruto and Hinata. We both know that the Hyuga Council despises Naruto and wants Hinata gone or branded with the caged bird seal. Hiyashi replied in a troubled voice. At this suggestion, the Hokage's face took on a troubled yet serious face as he lit a pipe filled with tobacco. Troubling indeed, he replied. Academy. Naruto had just arrived at his class to see that Iruka had not arrived yet and proceeded to walk up to the back of the room and sit next to Hinata. Morning Hina-chan, Naruto said as he sat down. Good morning Naruto-kun, Hinata spoke out, not stuttering for once. Right after Hinata had said that, Iruka walked into the classroom and started class. Class had passed by so far with relative ease, as the usual prank or escape attempt from Naruto hadn't been attempted yet, and Iruka decided that now would be a good time to review one of the jutsus they had been going over for the graduation exam. Alright class, everyone line up, we're going to review the Bunshin jutsu now. Iruka spoke out to the class as everyone got up and formed a line. Right after everyone was in a line, an Anbu appeared kneeling in front of Naruto and Hinata, surprising and confusing everyone. Namikaze-sama, Hyuga-san, you're both requested in the council chambers for a council meeting regarding the events of yesterday. The Anbu spoke while kneeling. Thank you Anbu-san, we will leave right away for it, spoke Naruto, dismissing the Anbu. Naruto, now is not a time for one of your pranks, roared Iruka, not knowing what had transpired the last few days. Naruto turned to face Iruka and spoke. Iruka-sensei, this is not a prank and me Hinata must be going, as me being a clan head must attend these meetings, and this meeting pertains to events that transpired around me and Hinata yesterday. Ha, you a clan head? Yeah right Dobi. If anyone here is a clan head, it's Sasuke-kun, came the scream of a pink banshee and several other girls. For once I agree with Sakura, you're no clan head Dobi, spoke a dark-haired student. I am, and if you didn't notice the name I was referred to, then all of you must be deaf. Iruka-sensei, give them a lesson on the Namikaze clan, specifically the last clan head for it, namely my father, spoke Naruto as he turned around and walked out of the classroom, leaving behind a pist of Sasuke and several screaming fangirls. Iruka was severely confused, especially when he saw the symbol on Naruto's shoulder as he turned to leave the class. What does he mean, father? The last clan head for the Namikaze was the fourth, and he never had any children. Hell, he never even got married, were Iruka's thoughts. Alright, since Naruto brought up a good point about a clan that hasn't been discussed in depth, we will go over that instead of the Bunshin. Most of you will know of the Namikaze name due to the fourth Hokage, whom was also the previous clan head of the Namikazes, spoke Iruka, starting the lecture as all the students went back to their seats while thinking the same thing, as if that Dobi is the son of the fourth. Council chambers. Naruto and Hinata walked into the council chambers and took their seats, Naruto's in his clan seat and Hinata in the seat behind his and her father's seats. After they sat down, the Hokage walked in with Ibiki and took his seat at the head of the room while Ibiki stood near him. Once seated, the Hokage spoke. Thank you for coming on short notice, all of you. I have called this meeting to discuss information we have obtained from a Kumo Chunin that came into the village last night in attempt to kidnap both Naruto Namikaze and Hinata Hyuga. Naruto and Hinata walked into the council chambers and took their seats, Naruto's in his clan seat and Hinata in the seat behind his and her father's seats. After they sat down, the Hokage walked in with Ibiki and took his seat at the head of the room while Ibiki stood near him. Once seated, the Hokage spoke. Thank you for coming on short notice, all of you. I have called this meeting to discuss information we have obtained from a Kumo Chunin that came into the village last night in attempt to kidnap both Naruto Namikaze and Hinata Hyuga. Last night, while Naruto Namikaze and Hinata Hyuga were out on a date, they were attacked by two Kumo Chunin in an attempted kidnapping, We are gathered here now to determine the actions to be taken as a result of this attempt and the information that was obtained by Ibiki here. Spoke the third Hokage. I say we'll just kill the demon and his whore. Spoke a rather brave councilman that was automatically grabbed by Anbu and taken to a holding cell for interrogation and punishment. Anyone else have anything they wish to say against the Namikaze clan head and the heiress of the Hyuga clan? Asked the third. Seeing the civilians shaking their heads, he continues. Good, now seeing as the attack was on you and Hinata, Naruto, what is your suggestion? Personally, I want Kumo to pay, but that will be hard to do without actual proof that the order was given by the Raikage. Once we have that and I'm compensated by Kumo, then I say it's up to Hinata, as she too was attacked by them, and this isn't the first time as she had an attempted kidnapping on her when she was 3. Spoke Naruto with all the clan heads nodding to his response. I say we eliminate this Kumo Chunin and attack Kumo themselves for attacking us within our own village. Spoke a man with bandages covering a majority of his face. Now Danzo, you old warhawk, that won't work. We know Kumo has 2 Jinchuriki within their ranks while we only have 1 and he is still only in the academy. No offense Naruto, and we also don't know how large of a military force they have. Spoke a clan head with a look very similar to Shikamaru. Now Shikaku brings up a god point on this and I agree with him and Naruto on this topic as well. Now Hinata, as for what you wish to done in regards about this situation, what may I ask is your suggestion? Spoke the third once again. I agree with Naruto-kun on the both of us being compensated for the attack on us as it had disturbed our date. As for the one that is left alive, I say he be returned to Kumo alive in exchange for the compensation to me and Naruto-kun. Spoke Hinata in a timid voice. I can agree with you Hinata, as we are currently not in a position for war of any sort right now, and it will show that we have mercy when it can be allowed. Spoke Hiruzen. Now that we have that part of the matter concluded, what did you discover Ibiki? Hokage-sama, what I discovered is very disturbing, as yours and Hiashi's original suspicions were correct. The information on Naruto's heritage was leaked by the civilian council in an attempt to get rid of the boy rather than accept him as the Namikaze clan head and the wielder of a new formidable dujutsu. And as for young Hinata's part of it, Hiashi, you will not like what I have to say, but it was your father that issued this attempt, and I also discovered he was the one to issue it when she was 3. Spoke Ibiki. What? Was the yell heard from the Hyuga head. Oh, that bastard will pay for what he has done once we get out of this meeting. Thank you Ibiki. May I ask if you know who on the civilian side leaked the information? Asked the third. As a matter of fact, yes, it was about half of them. Here is the list of names, so you may deal with them after this meeting. Spoke Ibiki as he handed the Hokage a small scroll. Thank you Ibiki. Since all the topics that this meeting was called for you are all dismissed except for the civilian side of the council, you will stay and I will deal with you personally. Spoke the Hokage as he got up from his seat. Naruto and Hinata left the council chambers immediately and went back to the academy to find that the class was just about over. Time skipped 3 months. It has been 3 months since the council meeting and Naruto starting to go out with Hinata, and 3 months till the graduation exam. Naruto and Hinata had just gotten out of class. Hey Hinata-chan, can you meet me up at the spot we went after our first date around 6? I have to take care of a few things at the compound. Naruto said to Hinata as they left the academy. Sure Naruto-kun, I'll see you then. Said Hinata, who has let her hair grow out in the past month so it now reaches in between her shoulder blades. She then proceeded to walk towards the Hyuga compound. I need to work fast to get this right. I'm glad the Kitsune were able to get it made in time for tonight. Naruto thought to himself as he went home to gather things for that night on top of the Hokage mountain. Later that night, Hinata was walking up the path that led to the top of the 4th's head on the mountain. When she got to the top, she saw Naruto standing there looking at her with a small picnic set up. So that's what you had to take care of? Hinata said with a hint of sarcasm. Yay, I figured we could do something different from our usual go out to a restaurant. Naruto said while he had the thought of what else he had planned for the night going through his head. Hinata sat down and looked at the food that Naruto brought, ranging from rice to small beef fillets. Wow, it looks all good Naruto-kun. Hinata said looking at the food. Well, let's eat, then we can talk a bit after we're done. Naruto said, taking a small container of rice with small chopped pieces of fried pork and steak in it, and started to eat. As the young couple continued to eat, the sun was starting to set when Naruto decided to ask Hinata to stand up for a bit as he got up himself. Hinata-chan, he said grabbing her hand, as you know I've been alone my whole life and only just recently started to get some sort of respect from only a select few people because of my name. Over the past few months I have come to see that you are not one of those people that only respect or talk to me because of my name but rather you stay with me for who I am as an individual and have shown me love. So I would like to ask you Hinata, will you marry me? Naruto said. No sooner had Naruto said those words Hinata jumped and tackled him to the ground while screaming yes so loud you could hear it at the gates on the other side of the village. While crying tears of joy as one of her dreams was to always marry Naruto. Hinata-chan, can you get up for a second? While I know you're excited I have something to give you. Naruto said as he reached into his pants pocket for something. Once Hinata got off of him he grabbed her left hand while bringing his hand out of his pocket with what he was trying to find in it and slid a small silver ring onto her ring finger. The ring was rather elegant, it had two foxes, a male and female, that formed the ring, and where the snouts met they curved around a small stone that looked like it shouldn't even exist as it was a swirl of blue and lavender looking like a whirlpool. Wow Naruto-kun, where did you get this? I have never seen anything like it. Spoke Hinata while staring at the ring in wonder. I had it made by my summons, the metal it's made from won't get damaged in battle and the stone is very rare and is specific to the two as it resonates with their chakra creating the colors. Said Naruto to his now fiancé. Thank you Naruto-kun, Hinata said as she kissed Naruto full on the lips. Naruto moaned into the passion-filled kiss. After a few minutes they finally broke apart for a breath of air. I've always loved your kisses Haim, but that was the best one yet. Spoke Naruto after the kiss. Thank you Naruto-kun. Don't you think we should be heading home? I mean we don't need father thinking that there is more going on than there really is, right? Spoke Hinata. Yay, I'll see you tomorrow morning my Haim, said Naruto as they both left via different paths. As Naruto got home he shut and locked the door as he had already been warned that he would obtain the physical part of his bloodline that night the moment he went to sleep as the next day he'd be 13. And as soon as he hit the bed he passed out and was surrounded by a yellow and orange cocoon of chakra. Time skip. It had been 3 long months since Naruto proposed to Hinata and changed due to his bloodline. He now had 2 fox tails waving behind him and resting on top of his head were 2 fox ears. The fur on both the tails and ears was blonde but the tips of the tails and ears was orange. Hinata herself had changed too, gone was her old outfit, she now wore a very different style. Her clothes now consisted of semi-baggy black Anbu-style pants, a navy blue shirt that fit very tight to her figure showing that under her old jacket she was very developed for her age. She also wore a navy blue trench coat that had a hood on it. And the one thing that completed her outfit was the pair of gauntlet gloves that she wore on her hands and arms. The glove portion of them had cut off fingers allowing her to still be able to perform hand signs for jutsus and feel things without the gloves getting in the way. Connected to the gloves was what one could only describe as a full arm guard as it wrapped around her entire arm rather than just covering a single side of it and had hard leather plating reinforced with small bits of ring mail. Etched into the armored guards was the image of a fox that looked about ready to pounce on its prey. These gloves weren't for just show as they were weapons, not armor, as in the gauntlet portion of the glove was a hidden blade that Hinata could modify for what she needed it for by using just her chakra. Today was a very important day, not because of the genin exams as they weren't for a few more days but rather a wedding. The date was picked by Hinata's father out of respect by Naruto and Hinata, mostly because they just couldn't pick a day for it. Naruto was hauled off by the Hokage and Jiraiya to a secluded room just below the roof of the Hokage tower. Hinata was in another room within the tower as well, not allowed to see Naruto nor her before the ceremony. She was accompanied by Kurenai Yuahi, a young lady that just recently made Jonin, and her father who was happy that his daughter was able to get what she wanted in her life. There was another thing he was happy about, and that was that he was able to protect her from the damn Hyuga Council as they had managed to avoid trouble with the exception of Hiashi's father and not be punished for the kidnapping incident, as he had recently found out that the council was going to brand Hinata with the caged bird seal and use it on her to keep her from ever seeing Naruto again, or as they called him, the demon. Unlike some of the villagers, not all had repented for what they did to Naruto as a child, and while they secretly hate him and wish him dead, they can't do a thing to him because of him being a clan member now as well as a council member. Little did they know that after tonight they won't be even able to use the seal on her, let alone apply it to her, as the council had no power over weddings. It's been several hours since Naruto got to the tower and changed into his black with orange trimmed sleeve kimono held together with a dull orange sash. now had been moved to the roof to wait for Hinata to finish and the ceremony to start, and has decided to look around the small group of people that are attending the wedding. He could identify the council as they were in attendance for the union of a clan head. The children of the Shinobi Council is just like their parents, they wanted to be there to see this as both Naruto and Hinata were their classmates. Iruka, Tuchi and Ayame from Ichiraku. The guy that owns the clothing store Naruto shops at, as over the past few months he has gotten to see that Naruto is no demon but rather a gentle young man that has suffered a cruel life, one that he had a hand in causing and trying to end it. And last but not least, and not noticed by many of the people, there was Kakashi Hitaki, a student of his father's and at one point his Anbu protector, as he can tell by smell, as Kakashi smells of books, dogs and well other unmentionable scents. You guys can put your own input on that part there. His godfather Jiraiya was also there but as his best man while the Hokage presided over the proceeding. Naruto didn't have to wait long as Kurenai slowly appeared from the stairs that led down deeper into the tower wearing a light red kimono held closed by a dark red sash as the music started. I don't know the music they use for these, so insert the kind you'd expect to be used in Japan. As she neared the end of the aisle you could see Hiyashi starting to show from the stairs wearing the traditional robes of the Hyuga clan head. With Hinata's arm draped through his arm he guided her down the aisle and presented her to her oh-so soon-to-be husband and his soon-to-be son-in-law. Hinata wore a very elegant lavender kimono with blue trim on the sleeves and collar that was held together with a sash that was of the same color as her hair. Naruto took Hinata's hand from Hiyashi while bowing to the man to show his thanks, and the couple then turned to face the Hokage as Hiyashi took his seat at the side of the aisle. Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to join together Naruto Namikaze and Hinata Hyuga. Spoke the third as he looked at the young couple. Naruto, do you take Hinata to be your wife for better or worse, in sickness and health, till death do you part? I do, said Naruto. And do you Hinata take Naruto to be your husband for better or worse, in sickness and health, till death do you part? Said the third. I do, said Hinata. Then by the power vested in me by the fire daimyo and as the third Hokage of Konoha I pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss the bride. Said the third as Naruto and Hinata turned to each other and Naruto enveloped Hinata in a kiss. After a minute the two broke apart and faced the group of people collected for the wedding as Hiruzen spoke, or rather announced, "It is with great pleasure that I present Mr. and Mrs. Naruto Namikaze." Most of the people in attendance clapped and cheered for the newlyweds while others didn't. Civilian council cough. As they walked back down the aisle both with content smiles on their faces. As the young couple left the tower they went towards Naruto's clan compound and their new home. When Hinata got inside the gate being carried by Naruto, she was amazed to see the size of the compound, as while smaller in building size to the Hyugas she could still tell that it had a lot more value to it than the one she was in before, as the area around the house had ivory woven into all the supports, and off to the right there was a small pond with a medium-sized blue sphere sitting in the middle that she could only guess was a rather large crystal. When she looked at the main house of the compound she could tell by the size that it was 2 stories and had around 10 bedrooms in total. Naruto proceeded to walk up to the house carrying Hinata bridal style through the front door and gently set her down. I see you like our home, Hinata-chan. Naruto spoke to her while she looked around the house, and from what she could tell of the bottom floor was that the main bedroom that she'd share with Naruto was on the bottom floor towards the back of the hallway she was in now, with the library across from it, and then just to her left and right was the kitchen and living room. Wow, Naruto-kun, this place is gorgeous, were the only words she could find to say about the place. Yeah, same thing I said after I got over the size of the place when I first came here, was Naruto's reply as he wrapped his tails around Hinata's waist. So Mrs. Namikaze, what would you like to do now that we're married? I'll look around the house to get familiar with it. I'll see you in our room when I'm done, she said, and then gave Naruto a kiss before walking off towards the living room. Naruto started walking back towards the room he would share with Hinata. It wasn't overly extravagant as it only had a queen-sized bed, a nightstand on each side of the bed and a dresser for both him and Hinata on the sides of the room. There was a door that went to the bathroom to the left of the door that came into the room. Naruto went to the bed and sat at the foot of it waiting for Hinata to finish her exploring, which didn't take long as she soon entered the room, and Naruto got up as she walked over to him swaying her hips slightly. So what do you think of the house? Naruto asked her. It seems big enough for a medium to large-sized family, and all the furniture seems to be comfortable too, Hinata said, and then leaned in to kiss Naruto. After a minute the two broke apart. So anything else you want to do before we turn in for the night? Naruto asked, wondering if Hinata wanted to get a snack or look around outside the house, as it was only sunset now and there was still light to see around outside for another hour or so without using a different light source. The next morning we find Iruka taking roll for the class. So far everyone had been there except for two. Has anyone seen Naruto or Hinata? Iruka asked the class. Troublesome. Last I saw of him was the wedding yesterday, aside from that nothing. Replied the sleepy voice of Shikamaru. Alright, everyone stay here and study your review material for the exam that's in 3 days. Iruka said as he left the classroom to look for the young couple. Might as well start with their house. Upon arriving at the house, Iruka rang the bell and got no reply and decided to use the spare key Naruto gave him to see if he can find the duo. He couldn't find them anywhere in the house but had yet to look in the master bedroom. Upon reaching the door to the room he knocked and got no reply. After waiting a few minutes he opened the door to see the sight of a chakra dome covering the bed that was made out of 4 different colors of chakra from what he could tell. Naruto? Hinata? Iruka asked but got no reply and decided against his better judgment and touched the dome of chakra only to get his hand burned. Okay, don't touch it or you'll get burned. I should see if Hokage-sama knows anything about it, were his thoughts as he left to go get the Hokage. The third Hokage was sitting at his desk smoking a pipe, wanting nothing more than to just burn the paperwork he keeps getting from the council and others, demanding things such as a larger percentage of the budget be for the civilians and that the imprisoned council members be released at once and other bullshit. When Iruka came in through the door to his office slightly panicked. Hokage-sama, it's Naruto and Hinata. They didn't appear to class. Something is happening to them at their place. Hurriedly spoke Iruka while trying to catch his breath. The old Hokage's eyes widened at this and quickly told Iruka to lead the way. Upon arriving to the home of the new couple and reaching the room, the Hokage was surprised to say the least when Iruka explained what had happened so far. Iruka, it seems we must wait for the shell to open for us to get to Naruto and Hinata, spoke the third. Until then I will have a watch set up around the house as to keep an eye on them and report any changes. Do you know what's going on, sir? Asked Iruka. From what Naruto has told me, upon marking Hinata as his mate she would gain his bloodline and lose hers. So during the process of that happening the bloodline must have set up a shield of sorts to protect the two of them from harm. Spoke the old man. Now while we wait, would you care to share what has happened over the past few months with these two and that odd class of yours? Also, I'm putting the academy on a temporary holiday. Consider it time for the students to study for the exams. I've already sent an anbu to inform the class and the other instructors. I guess it wouldn't hurt to tell you of these past few months. Iruka started as he began the tale of the previous few months. Flashback. Iruka was on his way to the classroom to start the day for his students when he heard yelling coming from inside the room. Hinata's mine, why should you be able to marry her? He heard from Kiba, one of the loudest students in the class, and he decided he would listen to the argument a bit before dealing with it. Because I'm the person she wants to be with, not you, Kiba. Came the calm reply of Naruto. Fine, I'll beat you and then she'll see she should be with me, not some clan-less orphan like you, came Kiba's reply. It was at this point Iruka decided to defuse the problem before it got out of hand, as he knew that Kiba's statement would anger not only Naruto but Hinata too. That's enough, Kiba, came Iruka's voice as he entered the room. I have no idea why you must goad Naruto and Hinata like that, but it stops now or will I have to get your mother involved? No, sensei, you don't need to get her involved, but I'd like to challenge Naruto to a spar. Came Kiba's reply. Kiba, you will have to wait till the next time we have spars to do that, and how you've been acting these past few days will be considered. It was then Iruka noticed a glint of light from towards Hinata and Naruto and saw it was what looked like gauntlets on Hinata, which was strange as almost no ninjas use them. Hinata, what do you have on your hands and arms? They're a clan weapon, sensei, came Hinata's reply without so much of a stutter. We all know that the Hyuga don't use weapons, you weirdo, came the reply of Sakura. They're not Hyuga clan weapons, Sakura, replied Hinata. Then they're not clan weapons, as we all know you can't use weapons of a clan you're not a part of. Came the, I know everything, reply of Sakura. It was at this point that Naruto decided to speak up. They're clan weapons, Sakura, to be more specific, they're the weapons of my clan. Still, she can't use them or even have them as she is not a part of your clan, and if they were a clan weapon of your clan, then where is yours? You're wrong, she can use them as she will be a part of my clan by the time we graduate, and mine are at the clan complex. Just because you can only see one person of a clan with them doesn't mean that the others in the clan don't have them. It's like my swords, they're clan weapons, but you don't see Hinata with a pair even though she does know how to use them. Replied Naruto. Some weapon there is no blade and it looks more like armor than anything, which means it's weak like you. Spoke Sasuke for the first time. Suddenly Hinata appeared in front of Sasuke with a blade tip an inch from between his eyes, surprising everyone. But it wasn't the speed that surprised everyone, but rather the blade, as no one could see how Hinata was holding it, only that it came out from under her hand, which was curled into a fist. Don't assume it's armor just cause you don't see anything that would make it seem like a weapon, as it could get you killed. Came Hinata's voice, cold as ice. She then started to stand and lower her arm, showing that she wasn't holding the blade at all, but rather that it came out of the underside of her gauntlet. The blade then retracted back without a sound before she left to her seat next to Naruto. I've never seen a weapon like that before. Where'd you get it? Asked Iruka. Wish I could tell you, Iruka-sensei, but it's a clan secret. Replied Naruto. Ah, it's okay Naruto. Now that mess has been sorted out, let's start our lesson, shall we? Stated Iruka before starting to go over the lesson for the day. End flashback. For the past 3 months that's what I come into the class with, minus the 20 question on the weapons Naruto or Hinata have on them. Spoke Iruka to the Hokage. Alright, I'll have to make sure Kiba isn't on a team with those two, otherwise it'll just cause trouble. Spoke the Hokage as he decided the teams for the soon-to-be genin. Lord Hokage, I've been studying how those two act and I think we'll be able to create that special division you've been thinking of. I'll think on it, and if I believe they'll be able to do it, I'll ask them if they would like to start such a division. Spoke the Hokage as he watched the chakra dome lose one of its colors, making it just blue, yellow and lavender. It appears that the two of them will come out of it soon. Spoke the Hokage. Yeah, looks like it, said Iruka as the dome started to swirl the colors together in what reminded them of a swirl. Iruka and the Hokage watched as the dome began to spin faster and faster, blending the colors of chakra together into one color, creating a slate blue color before being pulled inside both Naruto and Hinata, who both only had a single tail and a pair of fox ears on their heads that were the same color as their hair, with the exception of the tips, which had taken on the color of the other's hair, the tips of Naruto's ears and tail being a dark blue while Hinata's were a stunning golden yellow. Shortly after staring at the new forms of the young couple, both teacher and leader flew backwards with blood flowing from their noses, realizing that the young couple were naked and currently on top of the bed with no blanket on them. You didn't think I'd keep those two as perverts, did ya? After a few minutes the two men were able to move again, having recovered from the blood loss. Sir, I think we should go wait in the living room. Spoke Iruka, acting like nothing happened. I agree Iruka. Neko. Spoke the Hokage as an Anbu with a Neko mask and long purple hair appeared in a bow. I want you to keep a watch on the room and inform them when they wake up that we're here waiting to see them. Hi Hokage-sama, came the reply from the Anbu as she vanished into the shadows. The Hokage and Iruka both walked into the living room of the estate. I wonder why Naruto only has one tail now, he had two before. Spoke Iruka to the old leader. The only one that knows is Naruto, Iruka and maybe Hinata. Spoke the Hokage. Back in the bedroom, Naruto began to wake up, shortly followed by Hinata. They both began to yawn before rubbing the sleep from their eyes. Wow, that was some sleep, I feel great. I wonder if Hinata-chan is up yet. Thought Naruto. Hi, I'm up Naruto-kun, and I must agree with you, that was a good night of sleep. Spoke Hinata, half awake. Hinata-chan, I didn't say anything out loud, I was just thinking. Spoke Naruto, slightly surprised that she could hear his thoughts but was expecting it slightly as well. I guess what Q said about us having a mental link after we mated was true. Spoke Hinata. Have I ever been wrong? Came Kyuubi's voice over the mind link, startling both Naruto and Hinata. Don't get me started on that, Q, was the reply of both Naruto and Hinata. I apologize for interrupting you guys, but Lord Hokage and Iruka are waiting for you guys in the living room and wish to speak with you. Came another voice as Neko stepped out of the shadow in the corner of the room before disappearing. Naruto and Hinata both looked at each other, surprised that there were people in the house to see them. It was at this point that they noticed the changes in each other. Naruto noticed the ears and tail Hinata had, but that didn't surprise him as it was expected. When he looked at her face, he saw that her eyes had changed, which surprised him a lot. Gone were the lavender-tinged pupil-less eye, and in its place there was a deep amethyst shade of purple with a black slit for a pupil. Wow, Hinata, and I thought your eyes were beautiful beforehand, but now they're just gorgeous. Spoke Naruto as he stared into her eyes, transfixed by the color of them. Hinata went over to the mirror in the room and looked at her eyes and how she looks now, surprised that her eyes changed that much. I never thought my eyes would change like this. Me neither, Hinata-chan, but they still look great. Spoke Naruto. Well, we better get dressed, the old man wants to see us after all. The two got dressed in their usual clothing while Hinata started blushing, realizing the state of dress she was in. Once they were dressed, they went out to the living room to meet with the two guests they had. Hey Gigi. Hey Ruka-sensei. What do you guys want to know? Spoke Naruto once he entered the room. Ah, Naruto, Hinata, it's good to see you guys are okay. As for things I'd like to know, well, you should know that, Naruto. Spoke the Hokage. Oh yeah, I guess I should have known that. Spoke Naruto, realizing the Hokage wanted a debrief of sorts on what happened. Well, as I'm sure you noticed, Hinata has my new bloodline overriding hers, which we expected, but what is unknown is whether or not parts of her old bloodline were written into her new one. I'll let the more experienced one help you with that one. As he said this, he started to run through hand signs and bit his thumb. Summoning Jutsu. Chibi Kyuubi no Kitsune. There was a plume of smoke that when cleared revealed a small yet cute chibified Kyuubi. Both Iruka and the Hokage were picking their jaws off the floor as they watched the small nine-tailed fox stretch out its legs before sitting down on the table in front of the couch. Yo, so what you guys want to know? Asked the fox. For starters, Kyuubi-san, how is it that Naruto has only one tail now rather than the two he had before? Asked the Hokage, who had recovered quickly as he recalled being told that Naruto could summon the Kyuubi in a few forms if he needed to due to his summoning contract. Well, that's because he marked his mate, releasing any excess demonic chakra he had from me. And as such, his mate mark will prevent him from obtaining and holding onto any extra chakra from me as well. You see, the mate mark more than shows that the two of them are mated, but also acts as a protective seal for them from things such as my demonic chakra. So in a sense, while Naruto could have been considered part Han-yu before from having two tails, the mate mark prevents it from happening again, as it well purifies my chakra, making it his own. Spoke Kyuubi, clarifying a few things. But if he has use of your chakra as his own, doesn't that make him a Han-yu? Asked Iruka. No, it doesn't, as a Han-yu produces their own demonic chakra like you would produce regular chakra. And also Han-yus have demon blood as well as human blood, which Naruto has neither. Any demonic chakra he has is remnants of mine and will fade away soon. Essentially what's happening is I'm returning to the summon realm while my mind will stay with Naruto unless I am summoned. So in a sense I'm still sealed in him but can be pulled out of the seal by one of his clan members that have signed the Kitsune summoning contract and have the chakra to summon me. Now regarding both the kits here, they share a chakra type now and the color is the same as well, so you can tell if it's really them or an imposter. Now the kits are unaware of anything with the chakra dome while I'm only aware of it, so tell me, did you notice anything before it dissipated? It melded three colors together right before it flowed into them. It was yellow, blue, and lavender before it all turned to slate blue. Spoke Iruka. Alright, I know of two of the colors you mentioned. The blue was Naruto and the lavender was Hinata. Now the yellow, I'm not sure what that was from. With the new chakra and the changes caused to Hinata, it's going to take a bit of time for them to be up to where they were before, as the new chakra is denser and more potent, meaning that it's harder to control for her. Naruto will be fine with his chakra as he is used to the density and the chakra. Alright. Naruto, since you're used to the chakra and know how to control it, I want you to show and teach some of your control exercises to Hinata, as you guys have a week till the academy begins again, as I placed on a temporary holiday not knowing when you'd awaken. Also Hinata, could you explain what happened to your eyes? Asked the Hokage. Well, actually I'm not 100% sure, I have an idea, nothing more. Spoke Hinata. I know, when I was created by the Sage of Six Paths, I got parts of his knowledge on some of the bloodlines that were created from him, one being your old bloodline, Hinata. The Hyuga's eyes appear white because of the Byakugan, which greatly reduces the pigments in one's eyes and also causes the pupil to lose its pigmentation completely. As a result of your Byakugan being overridden by the new bloodline, it allowed the pigmentation to return to your eyes, allowing your true eye color to be seen. It really suits you, I might add. Spoke the fox, earning a pointed glare from Naruto. Q, are you trying to hit on my mate? "'Cause if you or I'm not afraid to use you as a punching bag, or better yet I could ask Anko if she wants to have a new target to practice accuracy on," spoke Naruto. Now no need to get hasty here, I was just complimenting her was all," spoke the fox with an edge of what could be taken as fear and nervousness. Everyone but Kyuubi laughed at how he was reacting to what Naruto said. "Alright, I'll let you guys be in, Naruto, don't kill your summons, you might need him later," spoke the Hokage. "Oh, trust me Gigi, he can't be killed, you forget he heals almost instantly, besides I never said I'd kill him, just let him get some exercise with Anko helping him in it," spoke Naruto with a sadistic grin on his face. "I'll see you later guys, besides I still have to get to the training ground and train some, I've lost some of my balance with going down a tail." After the two guests left the house, Kyuubi decided it'd be a good time to hide in the corner of the room as Naruto stalked closer to him. "Oh Q, I have a present for you," spoke Naruto. "I hate presents that involve that look," yelled Q. "I'm outta here," and with that Kyuubi disappeared in a puff of smoke back to the summoning realm to hide from the fourth Hokage Minimi. 1 week later, it was time for the Genin hopefuls to go back to the academy and finish prepping for the graduation exam. As everyone filed into the classes to wait for the teachers to arrive, one class in particularly was not enjoying the start to their day, as a student Kiba was starting a fight again, or was at least trying to. "What did you do to Hinata, idiot?" he yelled at Naruto, who was sitting next to Hinata, not bothering to try and hide the fox features. "Nothing, she didn't want me to do, dog breed," Naruto spoke back with a heavily venom-laced tone, as he was starting to hate Kiba entirely too much and was pondering if anyone would mind if he maimed the womanizing bastard. As if she'd want to be turned into some half-BR. He started to yell back before having a scroll find its place in his open mouth. "Thanks Shika, and nice shot as always," spoke Naruto as he gave Shikamaru a thumbs up. "Troublesome, he was just getting too annoying for me to bear anymore," spoke the lazy Nara and somewhat friend of both Namikazes. "Alright class, let's get Santa," began Iruka as he walked into the room before noticing Kiba had a rather good-sized scroll sticking out of his mouth. "Do I even want to ask why Kiba has a scroll sticking out of his mouth?" "It's better that you don't, Iruka-sensei," spoke Naruto. "I also suggest you let it stay there, as I'm seriously using the fox I summoned last week on him, and if it's removed it'll just become more tempting to do just that to him." "Naruto, I'm not gonna ask, but please don't summon Kurama even if it's for use on Kiba," spoke the scared Chunin, who had found out about the fox's name when Naruto told him about it over the break. "Alright, moving on, and Kiba, I personally suggest leaving that scroll where it is, as Naruto will make coving you in explosives a good idea." Let's start with today's review of the Hokages. And so the class went on going over several of the different parts of history, trying to hit all the major points before covering the jutsus the next day, where several students proved that while they know the jutsus they haven't mastered them, and both Naruto and Hinata tried to do the clone jutsu, with Naruto proving yet again he can't use it and Hinata finding out that she can no longer perform it. Naruto met up with Iruka after class had let out to see about something regarding the test the next day. "Sensei, as you saw today, both me and Hinata can't use the Bunshin, so we would like to ask if we may use an alternate clone for the exam," spoke Naruto. "While it hasn't been done in an exam in the past, it could be allowed, as the rules don't say what kind of clone it must be, just that you be able to perform it," spoke Iruka. "Alright, thanks Sensei," replied Naruto, and with that he left for the complex with Hinata. But what they didn't know was that Mizuki had finally come out of his coma and would be helping administer the exam the next day, and was currently listening in on the conversation. "Not if I can help it, demon," Mizuki thought bitterly. "Tomorrow will be yours and your whore's last day on in this world." He quickly vanished after to go over his plan for getting rid of the two.